Well, the National Broadcasting Commission, NBC, says it has sent a bill for the regulation of social media to the National Assembly. The regulator is seeking to repeal and reenact the NBC Act, Cap L11 laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004. Now, speaking when he hosted Mohammed Idris, Minister of Information and National Orientation, at the Commission's headquarters on Tuesday, Balarabe Ilela, the NBC Director General, described the ills of social media as a monster. Ilela said the current law does not give the NBC the right to regulate social media. Now, we want to tell you that a bill for an act to repeal and amend the National Broadcasting Commission NBC Act of the Federation of Nigeria 2004 to accommodate the transition from analog to digital broadcasting service, also to promote quality audio and video efficient management of the spectrum, Nigeria Broadcasting Institute, social media regulation, and related matters, has been read for the first time on the floor of the National Assembly, the DG said. Now, the DG also said that the Commission has the right to punish any broadcaster in line with the act establishing NBC, especially broadcasters that air, but they don't have that power to punish those that air on social media. All right, so it's media regulation. That's what we're talking about, and we still have our guests with us, Akin Fatunke and Nick Agule. Interestingly, Akin is a communication expert.
So you have experts anyway, a practitioner. Okay, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
We all
trying to be modest.
A bit of utopia and move nearer it. Yes. Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
So, when NSAS happened, during the time of NSAS and everything, there was a talk about gagging Nigerians by curbing what Nigerians put out on social media. Do you think we're back to that stage? Social media in Nigeria, Twitter in particular, was
X.
Now X. Yeah, was banned, but Nigerians still found a way using VPN and the rest of them to communicate their thoughts and grievances on that application. Do you see this move by the House to gag Nigerians? Does this look like they want to gag Nigerians?
Thank you very much again, Moses. My response to that would be a yes and no, more skewed toward no than yes.
Please explain.
It's a regulation. Regulation without control, like the Japanese would say, would spin you out of proportion. Anything on earth that human, using their intuitive capacity, their emotional intelligence, their cues, their fault lines to judge, to be right, will always be abused. Why do I say it is no? I hold my chest high, and it doesn't matter if I am not seen to be very popular with this, that we need some measure of control on regulations that we should have on social media. I am alive, and I am sure younger people too might be able to cite one or two examples where human beings, honest human beings, have been destroyed by the inappropriate use of X and social media. It is done, and the law of humanity is done that even if it's just only one person that is going to hit the shell because of this, then we need to sit back and be very careful. The other reason why it's going to be skewed for no is the fact that I am not proud, Moses, Kayla, I am not proud of what I had seen that has come since our elections, specifically since our elections of February 25, 2023 in Nigeria, and how we have used social media particularly against judiciary. I do not believe, and even before then, in a part of our country, I saw by people's perception, people's morality, a judge perceived to have done whatever it is allegedly, pulled out from his car and shot. That is not what we expect. And there has to be a due process. Now, am I just for saying that the police, the army, the legislators, the judiciary are spooky clean? No. The process should now have to go on. And don't forget, Moses, you are reading something. If we are only pick just one, going from analog to digital, National Broadcasting Institute, all these are not in the CAP 11 law or the Federal Republic of Nigeria of 2004. Must we be stuck? Must we be stuck? And for me, which I think is your interest, and should be the interest of every Nigerian, social media, should we begin to control? Moses, if you want to come to equity, try your possible best that you have done all you need to do and gone all through the process before you throw it out, because one simple statement from you can cause so much damage. Now, I said yes on account of the fact that, yes, coming from the NSAS thing and stuff like that, we have a much more deeper problem, a much more deeper corruption problem, whereby those who are ruling us rather than leading, they are ruling us rather than leading, have not been seen to be like Caesar's wife, to be above board. Yeah, so if you are there on a fiduciary responsibility, on a leadership responsibility, and you have just gone there to now begin to now get your son or your daughter into playing presidential planes and all that kind of stuff, you have not shown that kind of responsibility. And because you want to suppress that, something has to come. Why do we have NGOs? Why do we have all these things? You can just show it, but not going the whole hog and going to destroy. Right. We're talking about BBC now. It was CNN at one point in time that somebody made a report, right or wrong, and then you started threatening.
All right, let's get.
Well, let's get what Nick has to say. Well, Nick, what do you think are the main reasons behind the NBC's decision to regulate social media? Do you think it has anything to do with all eyes on the judiciary?
So my view here is that the NBC of communication in Nigeria is within its rights and mandate to propose an alteration to the laws that set them up in the light of the world is not static. We are, by the way, you can see me now. My light has been restored, so I'm back into the.
I'm happy for
into the district.
That is good faith.
Wonderful.
With faith, things will work.
Yes. Yeah, but this faith thing doesn't help for nearly 20 years, and there has been no single occasion.
Go ahead. I'm just.
Wait, even 1 second.
Yeah.
And that electricity is coming from gas supplied by NLNG. So NLNG supplying gas to the UK, giving us 24/7 electricity for the nearly 20 years I've been there, and the same Nigeria that's going into darkness. This is shambolic. It's shameful. It's something we should not even be talking about in the 21st century. So that's an aside. So back to the point that I was making. The NBC has its own right to enabling act that sets them up. So that is one. On the other hand is, what is their motive? We hope that their motive is pure, is clean, and is for the national interest. But if their motive is to enable them strangulate the court of public opinion, to make it impossible for us to view our grievances, then it is very wrong. Because I can assure you that if you go to Parliament Square in the UK, which is the seat of government, this morning, go to Parliament Square, there will not be less than 30 to 40 to 50 different groups who are agitating for one thing or the other, who are pushing and pressuring parliamentarians. The TV stations are discussing, and I mean, my co-panelist spoke about privacy of medical records, privacy of academic records. That is absolutely true. As individuals, we're entitled to our privacy. But the moment we live our private lives and come into the public life, and seek our votes to lead us at any level of governance, our lives are no longer private. Our lives must be public, including our medical records. As we see in the United States, the president goes on annual medical check and the results are made public because he's leading Americans. The man is in control of nuclear weapons. How about if he's into depression or he's no longer thinking well, he's not in good state of health? You have a pilot that is in charge of a flight on which we are on board. We must be interested in the status of health of that pilot and his qualifications. If that man didn't come to pilot that plane and he was in his house eating a bar with Orishirishi, we will not bother about him. Whatever whether he has certificate, doesn't have certificate, his head is not healthy. So these are the kind of points that has to be raised. You see, if we want our country, Nigeria, to develop like the US, the UK, the Germany, the Singapore, the Malaysias of this world, we have to be doing the things that citizens in those countries are doing. There's no way we can say the academic records and the medical health, medical status of our leaders should be a private matter between them. No. Let them go home and sit down. Then it will be a private matter between them. So for the NBC, we just hope that this amendment that they are proposing is for the good of the country. That is what will move us forward, and not something that gives them dictatorial powers where they will muzzle free speech. They will not allow us again to talk about our country. If you go to the likes of the UK or US, there are radio stations and TV stations that are perpetually 24/7 attacking the government in power. There's nothing wrong about that, So we all will have the laws of defamation. They're already there. If a leader thinks that he has been defamed by a particular post, then they can approach the court to seek adjudication. So for me, we just watch and see the details of this bill. Let it be that it's for our good.
All right, so we do hope that the bill will be for our good. But then the impact of social media cannot be discarded, because if not for the dragging, and I use that word loosely, that has gone on social media, some cases would not have been addressed. The death of a singer, the Mohbad, is one of those cases. So are we now going to say, well, we just hope. We just hope. Now, yes. The question I want to ask you is, what are the measures? What are the things that should be, the clauses that might be put in place or should be put in place to ensure that Nigerians are not gagged at the end of the day?
So let me be humble and honest enough to say, Nick, I agree with you absolutely. Once you cross from being private to public, your life is an open page and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. However, you still need a few restrictions so that you are not unduly, because depending from where you are coming from, if the intention is to do a Boko Haram thing, it's not going to help. But if the intention is like the Mohbad case that you mentioned, like what was going to be covered in Sokoto, the young lady that they said desecrated the Quran, like the Abalaka case that went a long time ago and was beheaded and all that, it's not going to help. He also made a statement that two hands must give a clap. As much as, yes, I have said that it is good, at the same time, it's also a responsibility on the part of government to lead well. So what are the measures? In this first reading of this bill, issues were raised by our legislators. And it's also always easy for us to begin to throw stones. And this is my point. We can throw stones, they are good, they are bad, and stuff like that. But some voices are saying, wait a minute, are you sure? Mr. Ilela, are you sure that you should not be getting these media practitioners, get them together and get a bit of a consensus item? And Ilela said, oh yes, in 2023, 1,238 warnings have been given, for which
To media houses. All right.
And he also said it that we will not want to sanction anybody. If all of us will kind of want to show responsibility, but human beings will not always want to show
Can I
responsibility.
please beg you
Yes.
to hold your thoughts, all right, while we get Nick, because I do understand that we might lose the connection with Nick very shortly.
We must not lose, there must be faith too. You must have light, Nick.
Nick, let's quickly have your final thoughts on this, and then we'll bid you farewell for the rest of the day.
So my final thoughts on this is that I don't have faith in the NBC as a regulator because of the actions that they have taken in the past. We have seen clear evidence that the NBC as an institution of government has not been fair in its judgments and its punitive actions against media houses. And this is one of the problems that we have in Nigeria, the lack of the independence of the institutions of government. Because an institution like the NBC should be totally independent of the ruling government, the government in power. Almost all the institutions in Nigeria, they act as if they are a department within the presidency. They act as if it is their job to defend the president. No, the president has his own aides to defend him. So what we need in Nigeria, we need strong, independent institutions. For instance, we had the Metropolitan Police knock on the door of Downing Street, go inside and investigate Boris Johnson. Just think about the Inspector General of Police of Nigeria going to Aso Rock to go and investigate President Tinubu. As remotely as impossible that is how impossible Nigeria will develop. If our institutions are not strong, they are not independent, they are not there to do the work that is for the general good, but instead they act, behave, and carry on as if they are a unit within the presidency.
All right.
This has to change.
All right, then. Thank you very much, Nick Agule, a public affairs commentator. Thanks for joining us on the show. Now, sir, let's please continue with your line of thoughts.
Nick, nice seeing you. Hope we'll meet again. Strong institutions, truly. But what makes strong institutions, strong people, strong-willed human beings?
Yeah, but then if the people are not allowed to speak,
If you have a very good person going to an institution and the system around corrupts, both the institution and the people will fall. I will give you one example. I think we had a strong institution at one point in time in this country that we call NAFDAC. And we had a Professor Dora Akunyili who decided that, yes, okay, maybe imperfect, I'm going to go in there and strengthen the institution. She nearly lost her life through the bullets of powers that be. We actually have institutions that we must have strong persons to come into. And the midway in between...
Is it about the institutions or the influence of government?
Hang on. You are calling it influence of government. It's called governance. There are rules.
But then, during the elections, we saw that NBC was sanctioning stations for some statements made by guests, and then at the end of the day, it now felt like they were preventing people from speaking. Are we not going to see that kind of thing play out on social media?
I am not discountenancing that. No, I'm not discountenancing that. In fact, The possibility of it is very wide and high.
But we must stop.
But I am saying, how will we solve it? We must solve it through the instrumentality of process and law. If you felt that you had been gagged, you have a recourse to the law.
Go to court.
No, you have a recourse to the law. Look, you can continue to do the wrong thing and believe you are going to do the wrong thing and going to do the wrong thing until I pray. That's my own faith now. We don't get into the Tunisian kind of situation where the people will now have to vote with their voice and decide to eat the rich. All I'm saying is that we cannot now, on account of the fact that the institutions are weak, the judiciary is weak, the president is quote and unquote a criminal, the judiciary is still stuff like that. We are better where we are today than a bit of yesterday, and that is where my own faith lies. So what should we do? What we should do is the people's parliament. Moses and Kela, what do you think, in all honesty? I know you are doing your day's job. What do you think you are doing? These are part of the process to begin to educate ourselves, educate our people, educate the process, knowing fully well that the responsibility is on us for us not to just go out there and just say anything just because we feel we have the freedom to be able to say. And then with the rulership itself, we put them on square. Have you seen situations where this president has virtually come back to reverse some of the things that he has done because of the people's voice? So we must stay and respect those people's voice so that we can have institutions. Not yet to huru, we are going to get there. We will humble, but we'll get there eventually. That is my belief, that is my faith, and that is the Nigeria that I know I am a proud practitioner. All right, so it's this is a good place to anchor it. We appreciate you, Akin Fatuke, for your time. Why do you now decide to anchor it here? That's your decision, not my decision. we must follow the rules. We must follow the rules. So I agree with you absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for coming on the program.
God bless.
Let's get into the world of business quickly. The Manufacturers Association of Nigeria has stated that the unrelenting increase in production costs imposing a serious threat to the existence of the manufacturing sector. The president of MAN, Francis Meshioye, made this disclosure in a statement on Wednesday during the association's pre-annual general meeting press conference held in Lagos. The association's 51st AGM, set to hold in Lagos, is themed Setting the Agenda for Competitive Manufacturing under the AFCFTA, what Nigeria needs to do. Meshioye, while addressing the press conference, said the theme was couched with a deep reflection over the growth trajectory of the manufacturing sector in Nigeria and Africa. All right, quickly to another business story now. Nigeria's crude oil output rose to an all-time high of 1.35 million barrels per day in September 2023, as the country pumped its highest volume of crude oil so far since this year. Now, latest figures obtained from the Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission on Wednesday show that the country's output in September was about 14% higher than what it pumped in the preceding month of August 2023. Data from the commission indicated that in September, Nigeria's crude oil production, excluding condensates, was precisely 1,346,562 barrels per day, which was a 165,429 barrels per day increase when compared to the 1,181,133 BPD produced in August this year. Further analysis of figures obtained from the NUPRC indicated that in January, February and March, the country's oil outputs were 1,266,659 barrels per day, and you know the figures just and there's a 1,292,240 BPD and 1,266,737 BPD, respectively. And that's all we have for business. We'll take a break. When we come back, we'll get into entertainment and sports. Stay with us.